So I was recording my first sort of iteration of this one here, UFC Fight Night Rodriguez versus Lemos, and I was recording my predictions, and Google Chrome, as it almost always does, crashed on me in the middle of the video. So we're going to be using Opera in this one here. Let's just move into it, man. I'm not really looking forward to the main event in my opinion, but I think the whole card as a whole should be good, though we're not really starting off with a good fight. This fight has been memed all over Twitter, all over Instagram, all among the cappers that didn't want to bother putting in the effort and researching, and I'm gonna put my hand up and say it, guys. I didn't look into this fight because I don't want to. I don't care. I don't want to. So the bookies did the job for me. They've lined Tamires Vidal as the favourite. A lot of money's coming on Pasquale, but I'm still going to go with the bookies' advice. And I'm going to go with the favourite Tamires Vidal. I did watch a little bit of Tamires Vidal as in one fight when I was researching Island Perez, because Island Perez was beating her up and then kneed her in the groin. Tamires Vidal kind of milked it and got the win. Vidal is not good at anything from what I've seen. She's not a good striker. Her jiu-jitsu's okay, but she's not a good wrestler, and she's okay in the clinch, I guess. Pasquale is kind of the same sort of thing. I haven't really been able to figure out what Pasquale brings to the game. Her Muay Thai is okay. I know that she's got a little bit of a professional Muay Thai background, but aside from that, her wrestling's okay as well, and I guess her grappling's okay too. This is just a weird fight. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Don't play this fight. Don't put money on it. I'm picking Vidal. It is what it is. We move on to a fight that I actually looked into because it's actually a fight I'm looking forward to. Jake Headley taking on Carlos Candelaria. I was really high on Jake Headley coming into his UFC debut. Maybe too high, you know what I mean? I guess in hindsight, oh my god, Opera's going to crash on me as well. It might just be my laptop. But, yeah, maybe a little bit too high on Headley, to be honest here. Jake Headley, you know, he fought Alan Nascimento in his debut. That's a tough debut, and I guess in hindsight, I probably should have picked Nascimento because, in my opinion, he actually beat Tagir Ulanbekov on his last fight before that one, and he lost a split decision in that one there. But before that, Jake Headley beat Mitch Raposo on the Contender Series, which is a pretty good win. He beat Luke Shanks with 7-1 at the time, 10-4 Shadow Hawk, and Blaine O'Driscoll with 7-2 at the time in Bellator. So pretty good wins for Headley. Definitely a guy that UFC should have scooped up, even though he did miss weight. Because if Jake Headley didn't get signed by the UFC, Bellator would have signed him. So they kind of had to sign him, you know what I mean? And Carlos Candelaria on the other hand, they kind of bring a pretty similar game, in my opinion. Candelaria's got pretty good offensive wrestling. His striking's pretty good as well. Jake Headley, in my opinion, is more of a grappler, but he does have wrestling himself, and he does a pretty good wrestling, and he's a very active grappler as well, which is what I'd like to see, especially against someone like Carlos Candelaria, who has slowed down in the past, and a blueprint to beat him has been pathed out there by Tatsuro Taira, and I feel like Jake Headley should be able to just copy and paste that game plan that Tatsuro Taira brought, and beat Carlos Candelaria on the scorecards, maybe even a late submission, because Candelaria does gas out a little bit. But I'm going to be going Jake Headley to win this one here. I think the price tag's a little bit wide. Minus 275, I think you're buying him at a pretty high price there. But I'm still going to go with Headley. I'm going to go with decision. I was thinking submission originally, but the more I think about it, decision is pretty good for me. So, Johnny Munoz Jr. versus Ludovic Sherlinian is another pretty decent fight. And both of these guys, honestly, I'm not super high on. Like, I'm not super confident in either of these two, really. I mean, Johnny Munoz Jr.'s got really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I do believe he's got some sort of championships under his belt there. And Ludovic Sherlinian is a former Ukrainian national wrestling team member. So I guess that's pretty good. He does have good wrestling. He has used it in the past to defeat good competition like Yuma Horiyuchi. And he also has a good win over Vince Cachero, who ended up in the UFC at some point, lost a couple of fights, and I don't think he's in the UFC anymore, but it's still a UFC level win, I guess, in a way, because he made it. But aside from that, Johnny Munoz Jr., you look at this guy's record. Would you call Jamie Simmons a UFC level win? I wouldn't, personally, but before that, you know, he wasn't fighting good competition at all. I'm not actually too sure what he really brings to the game, apart from good jiu-jitsu. And for that reason, I really want to pick Ludovic Sherlinian, because I can kind of trust what he's going to bring to the game more, but I can't trust him to bring that game to the game, you know what I mean? I can't trust Ludovic Sherlinian to use his strengths and to fight a game plan that would beat Johnny Munoz Jr. For that reason, I'm going to pick Munoz Jr. He was looking pretty good on the feet as well before he got KO'd by literally nothing against Tony Gravely. Tony Gravely kind of like breathed on him a little bit too much, and that was enough to knock out Munoz Jr. So in the future, I'm going to keep a very close eye on his chin, and if he fights someone that I think is going to be able to KO him, I'm going to pick the other guy, because I'm very worried about the chin from Munoz. But we move on. Jinyu Frey taking on Polyana Viana. Originally, I was going to pick Jinyu Frey. Am I still going to pick Jinyu Frey? I didn't think about this too much before I recorded the video, because I was originally on Polyana Viana, and I'm still going to go with Polyana Viana at the moment. Once again, this is a fight. Do not lay your money on it. I'm not confident at all, and I do not feel comfortable telling you guys to put money on this fight. This is the fight to not bet on, in my opinion, whatsoever. And even like the under and over, in my opinion, might not even be worth it, because Polyana Viana's got 12 wins, and all 12 of those wins have come inside the distance, so you never know. Polyana Viana could lock something up early on in the first round, and all of a sudden the over 1.5 is busted, you know what I mean? Or even Jinyu Frey, you could go with the under or whatever for Viana, thinking that Viana's going to get a finish, and Jinyu Frey just takes her down, stays safe on top, and wins a decision, and all of a sudden you're under over, either side is broken. So yeah, I'm not confident in this fight. I feel like there's a lot of ways that this could go. In my opinion, Jinyu Frey was robbed against Vanessa Demopoulos, and I have gone on a rant in the past about this one here, because it doesn't make any sense why Frey lost that fight. I think that's actually one of the worst scorecards of the year. In my opinion, that's a worse scorecard than Yan versus O'Malley. Jinyu Frey won 30-27 on 2 media scorecards. On 9 media scorecards, she won 29-28. On my scorecard, she won 29-28, but you watch that fight, there's an argument she won every round. And a judge gave it 30-27 to them. I'm getting off track. That scorecard annoys me more than it should, because it's low-level women's MMA. At the end of the day, no one really cares about it. It doesn't really affect the sport too much whatsoever. So I'm going to be going with Polyana Viana by decision to win her first ever decision. I am well aware she's never won a decision before, but I think that the activity on the feet should be enough to beat Jinyu Frey. And Frey is going to look for takedowns, and Viano will throw stuff up from the bottom. It could be another situation, though, of watching that prospect. I forgot her name. But she got taken down by like a not very good fighter, and just got controlled and lost the fight that way. What was her name? She was Brazilian, I remember that part. But anyway, we move on. Mario Batista taking on Benito Lopez. I'm picking Mario Batista just because I think he's the more polished fighter out of the two. Benito Lopez hasn't fought for 3 years, though, and I think that should be a very big red flag betting on either side of this fight, but I am pretty confident Mario Batista does get this one done. Benito Lopez hasn't fought for 3 years. It doesn't really look like he's been injured. It doesn't really look like he's been pursuing like a kickboxing career. It doesn't look like he's been pursuing some sort of grappling career and doing grappling tournaments on the side. I'm not too sure what he was up to. I think he just wanted like a hiatus, but someone said it's like an injury-related hiatus, but it doesn't really look injured, or he doesn't really show it off on Instagram anyway. Yeah, Benito Lopez hasn't fought for 3 years. That fight against Vince Morales was very close as well, by the way. But I think that Batista just got the more polished game plan. I think they both got a very similar game plan. They're both pretty wild on the feet. They both got KO power, and they both swing to knock you out. And I'm going to be picking Mario Batista by decision. After I just said all of that, I do think Mario Batista wins a decision, even though I just said that they both throw to KO. They do both throw to KO, but I'm still going to be picking Mario Batista to win this matchup here. I think he gets it done. So, yeah, give me Mario Batista. Most people picking him. I think it's just the layoff for Lopez. You know what I mean? I feel like even then, if these guys had the same skill set and Lopez hadn't had a 3-year layoff, I'd still pick Batista anyway. So it's something I'm pretty confident in. We move on. You've got Miranda Maverick taking on Shanna Young. This should be a pretty good fight for as long as it lasts. And I'm expecting it to be very one-sided. I think that Miranda Maverick should be able to get a submission by rear naked choke in the first round, because Shanna Young is just not that great, and Miranda Maverick's beaten her before as well. Shanna Young was losing to Gina Mazzara. Oh my God, every time I think about that, like watching Shanna Young look bad, even if you think that she was winning the fight, she looked bad fighting Gina Mazzani, and now she's fighting Miranda Maverick. I feel like UFC's trying to give Miranda Maverick a couple of favors here, to be honest, because they they kind of ruined her star power in a way. You know, she fought Macy Barber in like a prospect versus prospect clash. Macy Barber won a split decision, which is really bad, in my opinion. And then they gave her Erin Blanchfield, who's a savage. And now we've got Savina Marzo, you know, definitely a winnable fight for Miranda Maverick, in my opinion. Now they got Shanna Young. She's a massive favourite in this matchup as well. Miranda Maverick, I think the UFC's trying to give her a couple of favours here, give her fights that she can win pretty easily. I think she should be able to destroy Shanna Young. And it kind of really just comes down to the fact that Shanna Young kind of looks like she's never trained a day in her life, and Miranda Maverick does. So that's what we're predicting here, boys. It's low level women's MMA. We're gonna move on. Derek Minner versus Shaylan Nuerdanbieke. I was really considering a Derek Minner pick because I was liking what I saw out of Shaylan Nuerdanbieke, but at the same time, TJ Brown was just making really weird decisions on the ground. I feel like he was making just bad fight IQ moves, and I thought that maybe if Derek Minner found himself in that sort of situation, he would make a smarter choice and would even try to lock up a submission. And I think that Derek Minner could be live to do that if the fight goes to the ground, but I feel like Shaylan Nuerdanbieke in this matchup here would be quite wise to stay on the feet. Minner's got 26 wins. 22 of them are by submission. You know what I mean? Like, that does tell you something. This guy's really good on the ground. I feel like Shaylan is good on the ground himself, but he's not like a submission expert like Derek Minner is, really. And I don't see him being able to submit Derek Minner on the ground. I don't really see him finishing Minner either. I'm going to be going Nuerdanbieke to win a decision. I think he's a better striker on the feet, and I think he would be wise to keep the fight on the feet. And even then on the ground, I think you should be able to stay safe as well and win the fight on the ground as well. So, give me Shaylan Nuerdanbieke here. Surprisingly, the more experienced fighter. Crazy, I know. I'm going to be going with Nuerdanbieke to win this fight here. We move on to Mark Madsen versus Grant Dawson. This is where I was up to in my recording process, and then my Google Chrome or my laptop or whatever crashed on me. But I'm going to be going Grant Dawson in this one here. I like his grappling here. I think he's the much better pure grappler out of the two. Mark Madsen obviously has an insane Olympic background. I know he's got like a Commonwealth Games medalist multiple times. I know he's got a silver medalist in the Olympics, which is crazy as well. And I kind of always think of like these medalists that have made it, you know, like Henry Cejudo was a gold medalist, and I kind of like comparing it to someone that's been really hyped up right now. Look, in Bo Nickel, and Bo Nickel was like, didn't even make it into the Olympic team, you know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of level of wrestling we're talking about. I know it's different for Nickel because he's got really good MMA wrestling. When it comes down to pure wrestling, these guys are next level. Mark Madsen and like Henry Cejudo, to name a couple. I think DC even wrestled at the Olympics as well. Like, crazy good wrestling that these guys bring to the table. Mark Madsen, at the end of the day, he's 38 years old. Grant Dawson has almost got more than 10 fights than him, and he's much younger. He's 10 years younger with almost more than 10 fights. A lot of experience, a lot of UFC experience for Grant Dawson. Mark Madsen can't really say the same. He only fought 4 times. And he's only really fought twice against really good competition, and both of those guys gave him a couple of problems. Some people seem to think that Clay Guida won that fight against Madsen. I disagree. I did pick Madsen in that matchup, but I don't think that Guida won the fight for sure. And I think that Grant Dawson should be able to beat Mark Madsen. And I know it's a short notice fight as well. I believe Grant Dawson stepped in like a week ago at the time of recording, or maybe even a week and a half ago, and it was meant to fight last weekend, but maybe in the negotiation somewhere, Dawson was like, look mate, I'm not going to be ready for the fight. Give me one more week, so it's been pushed out one more week. I think Dawson's going to win. He's going to have a 19-1 record. Is that not absolutely crazy? I think he should be able to beat Mark Madsen here. I mean, Clay Guida was giving him some problems. Vince Pichel was even giving him some problems. Mark Madsen's just not the same fighter he was. Maybe even like a few years ago. I know he's probably developed as much better MMA fighter, but he's not looking insanely good. And I think it genuinely does just come down to the age and the miles he's got on the clock due to his wrestling career. Tagir Ulanbekov taking on Nate Maness. I'm going with the underdog in Nate Maness. This might be my first underdog on the card, which is a little bit embarrassing because we're almost towards the end of the card. But I'm going with Nate Maness here. Tagir Ulanbekov, in my opinion, aside from being pound for pound the most inbred fighter in the UFC, doesn't really impress me like all that much. I picked him to beat Tim Elliott, and I really should have picked Tim Elliott to win that fight, because I even said in my prediction video, I'm picking Tagir Ulanbekov. I'm not confident whatsoever, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tim Elliott wins. And what do you know, Tim Elliott goes out there and beats Tagir Ulanbekov, wins the first 2 rounds pretty clearly, got smoked in the 3rd round. But and then even that, in my opinion, he lost an Alan Massimento as well. And before that, he beat Bruno Silva, who was like, I think he lost the fight before that, and then he lost the fight after that. So He went on a losing streak after that, so I guess like not really good wins for Ulanbekov. And he's in the Khabib's camp, but there's a reason why no one talks about this guy. It's because he's not that great. You know what I mean? But he could beat Nate Munoz doing the same sort of thing Umar Magomedov did. But Nate Munoz is a good striker. I feel like he might struggle with the wrestling of Ulanbekov, but Ulanbekov doesn't really have the best wrestling either. You know what I mean? He's an interesting sort of case. Nate Munoz is moving down to 125. This is so crazy. Nate Munoz, by the way, guys, to put this in perspective, Nate Munoz used to fight at 155 pounds. He's fighting at 125 pounds this weekend. That's crazy to me. I think Munoz should win this one here. Ulanbekov hasn't impressed me whatsoever. His striking is terrible. Nate Munoz's striking is actually pretty good. I think he should be able to beat Ulanbekov. And we move on to the next one. Josh Breezian taking on Chase Sherman. I'm going to be picking... I'm picking Chase Sherman. I'm picking Chase Sherman to win a fight in the UFC. That's so crazy, isn't it? Like, I picked him to lose against Jared Vandeira, and I guess in hindsight that win's not that bad considering Vandeira had a very competitive fight with Wilder Cortez Acosta. And the sole reason I'm picking Chase Sherman to win this fight, because if Josh Breezian uses his wrestling, he's going to beat Chase Sherman pretty easily. Chase Sherman's got no grappling or ground game like whatsoever from what I've seen. This guy's a former BKFC champion. If that means anything, this guy got cut from the UFC, by the way, a couple of fights ago. And then the UFC offered him a contract nobody could refuse to step on short notice against Alexander Romanov on like a week's notice. The UFC offered Chase Sherman double pay of his previous contract and another contract. You know what I mean? I think it's like a 4-fight contract or something like that. So this guy's still got fights in the bank. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, I don't understand why Chase Sherman's still on the roster. But actually, you know, Chase Sherman, he signed a new contract to fight Romanov on a short notice. You know what I mean? That's how desperate they were to pad Romanov's record, which didn't end up working because he lost to Marcin Taraboya. But yeah, the reason why I'm picking Chase Sherman, though, is because Josh Breezian got knocked down by Alan Bardo. He got knocked down by the GOAT, Alan Bardo. And Alan Bardo struck like this in the fight. And I watched the fight. It's not good. What Alan Bardo was throwing standing hammer fists. And it's not really something I've ever seen that often. Like, it happens every now and then. But, like, to use it as, like, a common striking technique is incredible to me, and I can't believe that it worked against Josh Breezian. It knocked him down so badly that in the post-fight speech, Josh Breezian said, "I don't even remember that happening." Like, this is what we're talking about here, guys. This is insanity. So I feel like Chase Sherman, you know, he's a good PKFC boxer. He's just a good striker in general, really. He's got good boxing, he's got power in the hands. I'm going to trust him to touch Breezian, because if Alan Bardo can touch Breezian with standing hammer fists, Chase Sherman should be able to as well. Oh man, what a stupid pick. I'm gonna do it though. I mean, I could definitely see Josh Breezian taking him down and wrestling him for 3 rounds and then getting a finish, but gotta do it, guys, gotta do it. Now, Neil Magny taking on Daniel Rodriguez. I'm not too sure if this line is accurate, but I think Daniel Rodriguez might be a slight favourite by the time the fight rolls around. And I'm picking him, but I'm not confident, because Neil Magny, I feel like, has the game that beats Daniel Rodriguez. I thought Li Jingliang did, and I thought that he did win as well. By the way, I think that Daniel Rodriguez robbed poor Li Jingliang in pure daylight. But yeah, I think this is kind of why he's taking a short notice fight again, is to kind of get that win back and win the fans back maybe. But I don't understand why this guy took so long off. He took about a year off before he fought Li Jingliang. And he's like almost 36 years old. Like, this guy, if he's going to make a run in the rankings, he needs to do it right now. But I'm going to be picking Daniel Rodriguez here. I like his striking. He's actually not too bad of a grappler himself if it ever gets to that point. But I think the fight's going to take place on the feet. Neil Magny, as I said though, he does have the exact fight style to beat D-Rod, and that is to fight at range on the outside and kind of work that range, which is kind of crazy. He's got an 80-inch reach at 170 pounds. And maybe if he can do that for 3 rounds, he could beat D-Rod, but I don't think he can. I'm going Daniel Rodriguez. I think he's going to win a decision. And then we move on. So this main event here is it's a main event. I understand we're meant to have Mitchell versus what's that guy that pulls out of every tough fight he's in? Evloev. Yeah, so Evloev pulled out, as he has for literally every tough fight he's ever been matched up against. Same goes for that other guy that pulled out at UFC 280. that beat the same guy that beat Rafael Fiziev, Magny Mustafayev, same guy, and he got cut as well. But anyway, Marina Rodriguez taking on Amanda Lemos. I'm gonna be picking Marina Rodriguez here. I think on the feet, Rodriguez is a very good striker. I think she should be able to beat Amanda Lemos on the feet. I'm going to go with decision, maybe a late TKO. I think that Rodriguez really should win a decision. She's been 5 rounds before, which I think is important. And I think another thing that's important as well is she beat Yan Xiaonan on the feet. I picked Marina Rodriguez with a lot of confidence in this fight, by the way. And I thought that Yan Xiaonan won the fight. And I think that's exactly why she didn't get a title shot. If she won that fight clear as day, she would get a title shot. And what she did was kind of sit around for 7 months. Probably prayed that she would get a title shot. And then it didn't happen. So now she's just wasted like half of her like mid-30s praying for a title shot. And now she's going to fight Amanda Lemos. And even though she beats Amanda Lemos, like, she should get a title shot off that. Probably because there's no real other contenders. But this is just a random fight, I reckon, you know what I mean? I'm going to be going with Rodriguez. I think she'll win a decision. I'm actually so tired. I'm actually exhausted right now. It's Tuesday, man. It's Tuesday and I'm already tired from work. That's so sad. I've got 3 more days to go through. But that's my predictions, guys. I know it was a sloppy video. I know it's a terrible video. I'm sorry. But I recorded a much higher quality video. But halfway through making my predictions, my Google Chrome crashed like it loves to do. So, thank you very much for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And comment as well. Really do appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. I'm probably going to make individual videos about the UFC 284 announcements that have been done. I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. Because I'm going to be going to this event live. And I'm going to state this once. And I'm going to state it so many more times. Tyson Pedro versus Mingyang Zhang. So Tyson Pedro, this guy's got 9 wins on his record, right? That's pretty cool. All 9 of his wins are in the first round. Mingyang Zhang, he's got 16 wins, right? You know where I'm going here. All 16 wins are in the first round. This fight is going to be amazing. Like, it's going to end in the first round either way. I'm picking Pedro, but honestly, I feel like everyone's underrating Mingyang Zhang. Like, this fight was announced to people on Instagram, like, Mingyang Zhang's a can, another can for Pedro. Like, Mingyang Zhang's pretty legit. This guy obliterated George Tokos on road to UFC. And he knocked out George Tokos so badly that George Tokos was still unconscious, lying on the canvas when the referee raised Mingyang Zhang's hand a couple of minutes after the KO. That's how badly he slipped George Tokos. You know what I mean? Like, this guy is savage, bro. And then Jack Jenkins versus Don Chinese has been added. I think Jack Jenkins should be able to win that one pretty easily. Yeah, it's in Australia. I feel like they're going to give all the Australians somewhat favourable matchups, aside from poor Volkanovski. But it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it. Alright, thank you very much for watching the video.